Welcome back to Takeout. It's Monday, which means it's Takeout Tavern time. I want to bring in our political panel. Joel Payne, CBS News political contributor, Democratic strategist. Todd Ricketts, in from Chicago, co-founder of the news search engine FreeSpoke. Also the former finance chair of the Republican National Committee and co-owner of the 2016 world champion Chicago Cubs. I'm a Padres fan, so, you know. Remember, kids, I always keep it with coffee. Got to keep my wits about me. All right. New York Times reported something that I did not expect to see. Hakeem Jeffries meeting privately with Jared Kushner. This is problematic for both sides. Democrats do not like to see Hakeem Jeffries dealing with Jared Kushner, and Republicans wonder, why is Jared Kushner a clear emissary of the White House pre-talking to someone who could be the next Speaker of the House? Todd, your thoughts?
You know, well, I mean, my first thought is that I'm sure those guys know each other pretty well, so it's not unusual for them to be talking. It's kind of unusual for them to be meeting in person at this moment. But I think it's good. I think, excuse me, one of the things is that we've lacked for the last few years is Republicans and Democrats talking to each other. And I'm sure that, like, the topic they were talking about is if you know, Hakeem does ride into the speakership on a wave of, like, DSA candidates, like, how are they going to keep Congress from impeaching the president every other day?
Right. How are you interpreting this, Joel? And how do you think it's going down within Democratic circle?
Listen, I worked in Congress. I get why Hakeem Jeffries would want to meet with Jared Kushner. It makes all the sense in the world. I do think there is a political messaging challenge that the leader is having here, which is why 70 days before an election where you are looking to demonstrate real accountability for this White House, are you looking right now to make deals or make conversation with this White House in this moment? If you want to do that in the lame duck in November and December, that makes a lot more sense.
Right.
Doing it right now, I think it raises some unhelpful questions about Hakeem Jeffries at a time where he doesn't.
And as we both know, and feel free to jump in on this, gentlemen, there are lots of ways to communicate in Washington in political circles, separate from a private meeting. You can text, you can have friends via back channel. There are lots of ways to sort of suss things out that is different than this, because both parties had to know it would get out, and there would have to be explanations once it did get out. Your thoughts?
I think there are a couple of New Yorkers. I don't think it's unusual for two guys who live in New York, who've lived in New York their whole lives, to get together in person. So I think that's like a little bit less of the issue. I understand what Joel's saying, but I think there's a geographic aspect of where they've lived. They're right by each other. They've known each other forever.
One thing is for sure, it is much more helpful for the public to know that Jared Kushner is meeting with Hakeem Jeffries than for the public to know that Hakeem Jeffries is meeting with Jared Kushner. In other words, it is less politically caustic for Kushner to take that meeting than Jeffries to take that meeting, which tells me, I think, where the sourcing for that meeting probably came from.
All right, we're in a situation with Canada right now.
Yeah.
It may not last, but right now it looks pretty serious. Daggers kind of drawn over trade issues. And Mike Pence was on CNN over the weekend and had some thoughts. Listen.
American businesses and American consumers pay American tariffs. And I think the last thing we need right now, as our economy is getting back on its feet, is a trade war with Canada. My hope is, for the sake of American families and for the sake of the American economy, that what we're looking at here is negotiation.
I was in New York this morning. I did the morning show and talked to Ted Cruz about issues related to News of the Day and his book about Clarence Thomas. And I asked him about this. He said, I'm all for using tariffs for leverage. Yeah. That's exactly where Mike Pence is. Leverage, but not permanent trade war hostilities. A lot of Republicans are hoping this is leverage that works itself out in the very near term.
Well, I would say that it has to, because Canada doesn't have any other choices. You know, I heard Prime Minister Carney talking about putting tariffs on crude oil, on natural gas, those things. The problem Canada has is they don't have another outlet. The environmental movement...
Meaning another trading partner.
Yeah, the environmental movement in Canada for years has blocked any sort of a pipeline to the coast. So they don't have the infrastructure to sell that crude or that natural gas to anybody else. And really...
Meaning they have to sell it to the lower 48.
That we are their only option. But also, I would say Canada has been protecting its markets for years, really since World War II. I mean, a lot of the world has been. And I think the president has rightly said, like, it's time to get a reset on trade with everybody, including Canada. And if you look at, like, you know, after World War II, we set up these one-sided trade deals to allow the economy of the world to grow.
To rebound.
And then we got NAFTA, which kind of took some of that manufacturing. And all these small cities in the United States, they were promised high-tech service jobs to replace.
Particularly in the industrial Midwest.
Bottom line, Canada is the 1, 2, or 3 trade partner for a couple of states, Maine
and
Michigan being among them.
How it plays out there.
And politically, for Trump and for Republicans to take this risk right now, I just think if you're a Republican who's on the ballot, you do kind of have to wonder.
If you're Troy Jackson, do you run right into this? And if you're Abdul El-Sayed, do you run right into it?
You have to wonder if you're a Republican on the ballot. Is the president, does he actually care about holding on to his majority? Because these are the types of things that he's doing, and it's not just this, but it's others that are just going to cause problems for Republicans.
And the curious thing, Todd, was earlier last week, the president said we have a deal, more or less.
Yeah, I think they were close until they got to the final details. I obviously wasn't part of it, but it seemed like they were close and then fell apart at the end.
How do you assess this midterm environment as someone who has worked in the higher ranks of the RNC and has sort of watched things play out as they're coming at you?
Yeah, I mean, anymore, every election is competitive in this country, and midterms are, generally tough for the incumbent party, and I don't think that's any different. But we got
the
a lot of good
question then,
candidates.
Joel, is it more harsh than a typical midterm?
I know it's going to be more harsh than what's coming behind you.
Whoa, look at that. Look at that. 64, what's that about? Oh, yeah, Paul McCartney wrote a song actually about my birthday.
Tell me the midterms I've worked.
Yeah, there we go. Joel Payne, Todd Ricketts, great to have you here.
Happy
birthday.
Drink up, gentlemen.
Happy birthday.
Quick reminder, The Takeout is available as a podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere else. You can find each show there and our long-form interviews, of which we do many. Happy Monday, everyone. It's my birthday. This is The Takeout. Relentlessly curious, reliably civil, occasionally clever. The Daily Report coming up next. There they go. Bye-bye.